Alright, hey guys, Brad here from Finite Cards, here bringing you a deck profile video on that level 10 deck I did quite a while back, the one that summoned out Skypalace Babylon. I know it's been a while, sorry it took so long for me to get this taken care of, but we're going to get this done. We're going to take a look at this deck. So, we're going to start right off with our 3 Malefic Cyber End Dragons. Now, obviously this corresponds to the 3 Cyber Ends in the extra deck. Easily one of the easiest level 10s to bring out. If you have a field spell out, obviously, that's kind of the condition of it. So in this case, we have the Mound of the Brown Creator, which also protects Malefic Cyber End, or CXyz territory, which will power up your CXyz monsters when you're dealing with these high rank of CXyz monsters. Other than that, it does make it so your other monsters can't attack. That is one restriction on it, but that's one of the reasons why it works well with Skill Drain. Next, we have Knight Express Knight, which is basically a 3,000 attack, 3,000 defense monster, level 10. Can't be special summoned from the deck. You could normal summon without attributing, but its original attack becomes 0. So it's very similar to things like Barbaros or Beast King Barbaros or Fusilier Dragon. Whereas if you have a skill drain, he gets massively powerful. Also, if you special summon him back from the graveyard, which I have Soul Charge and Special Schedule to do, that just brings him back at 3,000 attack. He has no restrictions other than that. So next we have Snowplow Hustle Russell. Basically this guy, he's got 3,000 defense, 2,500 attack, so he's mainly good in defense mode. When your opponent declares a direct attack, as long as you have a card in your spell or trap card zone, you can special summon it and then destroy as many cards in your spell and trap card zone as possible, and then you inflict some extra damage. So the main downside, it does need to have something set in your spell and trap card zone or active in your spell and trap card zone to destroy to use that. But otherwise it's pretty easy to summon because you can just throw a 3,000 defense wall out if they try to declare a direct attack, which will usually stop the attack depending on what you're being attacked by. Next we have one of the Matayan, the Time Lord. He's basically just a guy you can normal summon without attributing if you don't have any monsters. I mean, he can't be destroyed by battle or by card effects. You take no battle damage from battles involving him. At the end of the battle phase, you return all other monsters on the field to the hand and inflict 300 damage to your opponent for each. But during the standby phase, he goes back to your deck. So he's kind of a downside. He doesn't work all that well with Skill Drain. But like for example, if you have Matayan and then a field spell and Malefic Cyber End in your hand, you got a pretty easy rank 10 CXyz there. So plus he's pretty good on his own just because of the fact that at the end of the battle phase, if he attacks or is attacked, he bounces everything back to the hand. So, and since most of these monsters are, although level 10, are fairly easy to bring out, it's not that big a deal. Next we have 2 Tragodia, which is a level 10. You can special summon whenever you take battle damage. So he brings himself out fairly often. Obviously gets 600 attack and defense for each card in your hand. He can be used a couple different ways. First of which, you can send a monster from your hand to the graveyard to take control of a face-up monster your opponent controls. That's usually used with, if you're going to use that at all in this deck, you're going to use it with Bat Train most likely, because it's very rare that your opponent will have any of the level 10s to take control of. Though technically you could do it with Card-Cardia as well. The other thing is you can, once per turn, you can target a monster in your graveyard and its level becomes the same as that target. This is mainly what lets you go into the rank 4 CXyz that I have down here. Because if you have Bat Train and Tragodia out and you have a Bat Train in the graveyard already, you can make a rank 4 CXyz if you need to. Speaking of Bat Train, that's the next one. We got 3 of those. Basically, its effect, you can inflict 500 damage to your opponent just by sacrificing your battle phase during that turn. But at the end phase, if it was sent to the graveyard, you can add a level 10 Earth Machine from your deck to your hand. So basically, if he goes to the graveyard, I could search any of these Knight Express Knights or Hustle Russell. So I could search any of these 5. Plus he's an 1800 attack monster, so that's pretty good. And then to round it out, we got a couple of Card-Cardia. These are mainly just to get to these cards. Mainly the Malefic Cyber End. Malefic Cyber End is kind of the key of this deck. If you can't get to the CXyz summoning, you want to have Malefic Cyber End out. Preferably under Skill Tree. Alright, on to spells. This deck does have a fair amount of spell cards. Let's just kind of pass by the staples first. We got Dark Hole, 2 Mystical Space Typhoon, and a Book of Moon. And then we kind of staples, we have 2 Forbidden Lance. Like you guys have seen my decks before, I do enjoy having this, as well as Forbidden Scripture. Now this is kind of a helping card, mainly for Night Express Knight, because of the fact that it, during the battle calculation, it negates all other cards on the field. So you negate Night Express Knight's effect during that battle, switches it back to 3,000 attack. Other than that, we have Soul Charge, obviously, that just lets you bring back monsters. The main ones you can do, because obviously Metayon and Malefic Cyberend can't be special summoned back, but you can bring back Night Express Knight, Snowplow Hustle Russell, or technically Metayon, but it's rare that that guy will be in your graveyard. Intrigoti, obviously. We then have 2 Rank of Magic Argent Chaos Force. This is mainly kind of the easy way out to summoning Skypalace Babylon. It does allow us, basically, you can use any of the rank 10 Xyz to summon it. Obviously, the preferable way is Gangaridai, so it gets its second effect. But because it's just generic, you just target a rank 5 or higher Xyz monster, and then you can just special summon a number C or CXyz monster that's 1 rank higher. So any rank 10 can turn into the rank 11 Skypalace Babylon. It also has kind of the added bonus of when you summon another rank 5 or higher Xyz monster, if it's in the graveyard, you can add it back to your hand once per duel. So say, for example, you are forced to discard it or something like that. If at any point you summon a Gangaridai, you can just grab the Argent Chaos Force and rank it up. So that's another nice thing about that. Special Schedule. I've toyed with more of these. But as in kind of the final version of the deck, I ended up with just 1. Just its effect is mainly just target a machine type monster with 3,000 or more attack in your graveyard, and you special summon it in face up defense position. And then if the set card is sent to the graveyard, you can target a level 10 machine monster in your graveyard and add it back to your hand. So mainly that can grab mainly Night Express Knight, or one of these 2 Xyz, and technically a Robot Galaxy Destroyer. But that's the main thing. You can just revive a Gangaridai and rank it up very easily with that. And then finally we have our field spells. We have 2 Mound of the Bound Creator, which defends level 10 monsters. And then when a level 10 monster destroys a monster by battle, the opposing player takes 1,000 damage. And technically it does have a Divine Monster effect at the end of that, but it doesn't really make a difference in this deck. And then finally Xyz Territory, which, I mean, when you're dealing with rank 10 Xyz, you're gaining 2,000 attack during every battle phase. So, and then you can detach material to keep it out, which helps if you say have an Xyz monster and Malefic Cyberend out. Helps you balance that out. For traps, I have a Bottomless Trap Hole, 2 Mirror Force. Obviously these can be toggled out for like a Dimensional Prison or something like that. I personally prefer Mirror Force, so Metal Reflect Slime functions as another level 10 monster, one that can be very easily special summoned. 2 Skill Drain to keep Night Express Knight at its full attack, and Malefic Cyberend able to attack with other monsters. That's the main thing. Obviously it doesn't work all that well with a couple of the other cards in the deck, but since Night Express Knight and Malefic Cyberend are kind of your power plays, if you can't get to an Xyz, that's what you want to go for. We then have 2 Black Horn of Heaven that lets you negate Xyz summons, synchro summons, all that sort of stuff. So that helps there, as well as 2 Dark Bribes to negate spell and traps. Okay, next we have the extra deck. Now we got the 3 Cyberend Dragons for the Malefic Cyberends. Want to have 3 just to make sure I can summon all of the Malefic Cyberends if need be, because like I said, they're the power cards if I can't get an Xyz out. We've got 2 Babylons. This is mainly because we're dealing with Argent Chaos Force. So that, say, if it goes down, I can just summon another Gangaridai, and I can grab an Argent Chaos Force and rank it up again. It's pretty easy. Once you get 1 out, it's pretty easy to summon another. We have 1 Super Dimensional Robot Galaxy Destroyer. He's kind of a niche summon. Obviously, you need to have 3 of the level 10s out, which is very rare. But you can detach material to destroy all your opponent's spell and trap cards, and he's got 5,000 attack. So he's worth it just in case. Another one I toyed with for kind of the extra rank 10s was Chaos Dyson Sphere, number C9. Kind of iffy on that. That also takes 3 level 10s. So kind of up to you. We got 2 of our Gangaridai. You can just attach material, target a card they destroy it, target a card they control and destroy it, and inflict 1,000 damage. Can't attack the turn use the effect though. I mean, it's got beefy 3,400 attack. Like I said, it can be revived to special schedule, and it gives Babylon the ability to, if it destroys a monster, you can attack again in a row. So, and then we also have Gustav Max. It's just kind of your other option for rank 10s, because you can just attach a material and inflict 2,000 damage. It's a little less fun than Gangaridai, but I do have 2 of each just in case, because you never know. Sometimes it comes in handy. And then for the rank 4s, like I said, these don't get used all that often, so it's kind of whichever you want. I've got a couple other options down there in the extra deck that we may want to toy with, but what I've mainly got is Karen Gorgon, the Anti-Luminescent Knight. He can change a target for exactly 1 card on the field. When a card targets it, you can change it to something else appropriate, so that's handy. We got number 101, Silent Honor Arc. Number 82, Heartland Draco. Now this is probably one you haven't seen a whole lot of. It's mainly helpful since we're dealing with a deck that uses field spells. As long as you have a face-up spell card, this card can't be targeted for attacks. So if you have a field spell out, they can't attack Heartland Draco, and you can detach material to make itself able to attack directly. Other than that, we have Exciton Knight. Blows up the field if your opponent has more cards than you, so that's nice. And then Abyss Dweller to respond to graveyard effects. Like I said, these are pretty much your choice, what you want to use in this spot. It doesn't really make a huge difference because they only rarely come up. Other than that, we have a couple options down here in the side deck. This one being the main one. If you want, you can kind of go for a Cyber Dragon sort of play in here, because we do have Malefic Cyber End, so that does help. You can tech in a couple Cyber Dragons. We're dealing with machines, so you could go with throw in a Overload Fusion, you go for a Chimera Tech Over Dragon, or just go with Cyber Dragon and do Chimera Tech Fortress Dragon. Plus, if you have a couple of those light machines, that'll actually go to the graveyard. You can throw in Cyber Eltonin, which is really easy to summon in that situation, and it just kind of sends everything to the graveyard when it's special summoned. It doesn't destroy anything, just sends it all. So that's really easy to wipe the field with. Other than that, we have a couple, pretty much just the other options I kind of chose for the rank 4s. I've been toying around with them, like I said. First one, Dark Rebellion CXyz Dragon. This is an upcoming card from Next Challengers that we'll be looking at quite a while. It's the next set after Duelist Alliance, which is the next one after Primal Origin, which we're doing. Basically, you can detach 2 materials to have an opponent's monster and permanently gain that same amount of attack. It starts at 2,500, so it's a pretty beefy monster, just kind of a powerhouse. Ragna Zero, you can detach material to target a face-up attack position monster who has different attack than its original attack. Destroy it, and then you draw a card. Giganta X, the only reason I haven't really had this one is because it would require having 2 batch trains. And it really can only, at that point, all it can search is Card-Cardi or the 3rd bat train. So there's really not a whole lot of point. I could technically summon it, and it would technically help. But you're by the time you summon it, you're pretty much out of targets. So there's not a whole lot of point. Other than that, we have number 50, Black Ship of Corn. Lets you send an opponent's monster to the graveyard pretty easily. As well as Castell, the Avian Skyblaster. This guy's from Duelist Alliance. We'll be talking about him a little while later. Basically, you can detach a material, target a face-up monster in the field, change it to face-down defense position, similar to My Stroke. Or you can detach 2 materials and shuffle one other face-up card and shuffle it back into the deck. So he's kind of like a beefed up My Stroke in terms of effect. My Stroke obviously has the advantage of he could detach to stay on the field. So if you need something that can live a little longer, there you go. But that's about it for the level 10 deck. Obviously leave any suggestions. Like I said, I was toying with this deck a lot. This was kind of just the final sort of deal I came up with. Obviously it can still be tweaked as we go along. a little limited in what it can do, and it's very easy to get kind of a dead draw, because if you don't get any of the, particularly if you don't get a Malefic Cyber End, it's a very difficult deck to play. But other than that, it's a pretty fun deck when you do get it going, because then you get Skypalace Babylon, and it just kind of wrecks face. Okay, well, I do want to thank you guys for watching. Like I said, leave any sort of comments or any suggestions below in the comments, and we'll see you guys next time.